Hey, cousin. Welcome to my podcast, The Liberal Black. I am your host, Mr. Cleo. The Liberal Black is unapologetically a podcast for black folks from all walks of life, but it is also a place for allies too. Y'all are invited to the barbecue. It's a variety show type of podcast where we can be serious and deep thinking in one episode or laughing to release some tension in another. I hope this can be a place for us to be entertained and maybe we can be inspired along the way. Some episodes may feature a guest expert, while others I'm riding solo. Join me, fam, for what is sure to be a fantastic voyage. I am Mr. Cleo, and you are listening to The Liberal Black. It is 2021, January the 2nd, and we are still in the stronghold of the COVID-19 pandemic. As of today, 350,000 people have died in the U.S. alone. Just over 1.8 million people have died from it worldwide. The media, experts, frontline workers, the president-elect have made it clear we should be wearing masks in public. But there are many people out there, and maybe you're one of them, that still refuse to wear a mask in public. In this episode of The Liberal Black, we will discuss and slightly investigate the phenomenon of the anti-maskers. Stay tuned. Okay, so admittedly, everybody, what prompted this episode for me is a couple of things. Probably the first thing, I'm just so annoyed when I walk around in public with a mask on to see so many people. And I would say it's not the majority, it is definitely a minority, but it's enough people, I'm going to ballpark it and say 30% of people not wearing a mask. And I don't want to get into it yet, but it just really irks me on a lot of levels, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I saw a video of a man in a grocery store. I think it may have been a Walmart or a Costco or something like that. I think it's a Costco. And he is, or Super Walmart. It's one of those big stores. That's not the point. The point is this man is lying on the floor, his ankles crossed, his arms crossed, as a security guard. And this man is grown. This man looks like he is probably 50 plus. And he is talking on the ground on his back, full back, like a Diane or something. On his back as people are milling about with their masks on, pushing their buggies. This man is having a conversation that I can't hear with the police. The police lady has her gun holstered. She's wearing a mask. And she's talking to this man who clearly has fell out on the floor like a toddler because he's being asked to wear his mask. So I reposted this video to my social media, and I said something to the effect that I really want to understand what's up with the refusal to wear a mask. I already know why you should do it. I just don't have a clue why people refuse to wear a mask in a public setting, not understanding the greater good. And I had several comments that people made about it. But one comment, and these are all people I mostly know, but one comment was from someone, and I knew she was a conservative, and that's the other thing, that somehow to wear a mask or not wear a mask has almost become almost a political leaning. Now, I know that there are conservative people, Republicans, who do wear a mask, but it's almost like you can almost guarantee that the person who doesn't wear the mask falls into Trumpism on some level. Maybe not even Republican, but Trumpism. But anyway, so I just want to read to you what this person wrote in the comments before we get into some of the research, and because this is something that prompted me to really get into it. So the person responds to my question, my query in the video. This is what she says. She says, "Why should I wear a mask and I'm not sick? I'm a big girl. I need all my oxygen, unfiltered oxygen. Greater good should be to leave free men alone and not punish those who choose to practice their God-given rights." She goes on to say, "I choose not to live in fear. I won't be pressured, forced, strong-armed to wear a mask. Has nothing to do with white privilege," rolls eyes emoji, because some people had posted that the white man who was laying on the floor that I was telling you about earlier in the video, had he been black, his ass would have been tased or shot up for lying in the middle of the floor during a busy shopping time, but I think that's what they were talking about. Anyway, she goes on to say, "So when big government orders you to vaccine to conduct any type of business, you lining up and getting shot up," I guess she meant shot up. "You can't shop, you can't travel, you can't work unless you have your vaccine papers. Are you okay with that? I'm not." Well, we're kind of almost in that direction, because it's like you can't fly to certain places unless you prove that you don't have it. Some people may decide that in order to come here, you need to have the vaccine. I mean, when you can't come to school unless you're vaccinated for like measles and other things. Well, anyway, I'm getting into the argument. She goes on to say, "I will fight for my God-given right as a free woman." She wrote women, but I'm fixing it. "As a free woman to be free and live to the death. I am not a slave. I am not a sheep. I don't work for the government. I am free, and so are you. Hashtag give me freedom or give me death." And of course, people had different things to say about that, and there was a little bit of name calling. Not by me, but by other people. So here we are. Here we are in the age of science, but yet so many people do not believe in science. What is going on, y'all? What is going on? So I dug into this a little bit deeper because I really wanted to understand, why are some people not choosing to wear a mask? Because for me, it's right off the bat selfish. It's there's ignorance involved. There's all this negativity. But I want to be open to the conversation. Now, mind you, part of the problem, from what I have found, is some people are holding on to the original quote prior to April the 3rd of 2020, before we knew more about the virus. Some were saying, experts were saying, that you did not have to wear a mask. So prior to April 3rd, some were saying you didn't have to wear a mask, but from around April 3rd on, the research had come in and they saw that wearing a mask is definitely more effective. There's even an article from nature.com titled "Face Mask, What the Data Says." And in this article, it was talking about how face masks have shown to be effective. When you look at all the Black Lives Matter rallies, there were no huge spikes in coronavirus infections in these huge gatherings because everyone largely wore masks, they pointed out. But the article also went on to point out how these two beauty salon, I don't know if they were owners or not, but these beauty salon owners, people who were doing people's hair and stuff, wore double masks and they got infected. But, some of the people from their clientele refused to get tested, after, when they were doing the contact tracing. Some of these people refused to get tested, some of them did. So we don't know if it necessarily came from a client or not. My thing is, just because you wore the mask at work does not mean you wore the mask at the grocery store, at your friend's house party, when you went to meet your hookup from Grindr, whatever the case may be. Just because you wore the double face mask at work, at the salon, and you got infected with coronavirus does not mean that masks do not work. Because the data has shown that it does reduce it for yourself, infection for yourself and for others. The data has shown that. But I think where we are right now is that there are still a lot of people who are holding on. They're holding on to the idea that, well, the science is inconsistent. And so because it's inconsistent, it gives them an excuse not to wear the mask. That's one theory with it. Now let's get with the facts. The CDC, right? The CDC has come out and they have, what's the word I'm looking for? They have irrevocably, without a doubt, said that people age 2 and older should wear masks in public settings. I'm reading from the CDC website. When you're around people who don't live in your household, you should wear, and you're in public, you should be wearing a mask. You should not be ripping and running up through the mall, ignoring the signs that say, please don't enter this store without your mask. There's a state that has just made it a felony to, what was that state? Let me look this up real quick. Felony not to wear mask. Where? Illinois has made it a felony to assault workers when they ask you to comply with the please wear a mask order, which they should, because I can't believe people are assaulting these people. Do not get paid enough to be bothered with you. It's like returning the workers, the retail people, into bouncers as well. And I know I hate being inconvenienced by seeing people walk around without the mask, but I do hate the fact that these retail people are having to bear the brunt of it. Because I'll be honest, I was in a grocery store about a month or two ago, and this man and his son were in the store without their mask on. It was, and just the talking, and they weren't that socially distanced. And I looked at the cashier and I said, "You guys have a sign that says must wear mask when entering the store." And she was like, "I don't know what you expect me to do about it." And I didn't know. I mean, I expected her to say, "Hey, please put a mask on, or you can't come in here without a mask." But I know that people don't want to take it to that level. It's kind of just live and let live, or live and let other people die, however you want to put it. But it's extremely, extremely frustrating. So, of course, this is continuing to lend to my going, what the hell? What are people thinking by not wearing masks? But let me get back to the CDC, okay? So the CDC, as I said, says people too older should wear a mask. You should wear a mask in public settings, especially when around people who don't live in your household. When you wear a mask, you're wearing it to protect yourself as well as other people. A mask is not a substitute for social distancing. Masks may not be necessary when you are outside by yourself, away from others, or with other people who live in your household. And it says the CDC is constantly, updating things. And I know that part is the frustrating part for people, is that the goal line kind of keeps moving a little bit. And I know that can be frustrating. I do realize that. But why are people ignoring the... Hey, fam. Did you know that the Liberal Black podcast is hosted by the Anchor platform? Well, it is. When I started podcasting, I knew absolutely zero about what to do and where to start. But the Anchor platform has been so easy to use that I'm now entering my 4th season of podcasting. Hard to believe. Give it a try for yourself by downloading the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. The science behind it. So, I did a little research. So, in an article from the radio IQ station WTF, which is Virginia's public radio, a retired psychology professor, Dennis Profit, who is professor emeritus, he was talking about this and saying that essentially we break down into 2 categories when it relates to maybe the people in general, but definitely when it relates to the mask thing. So the first one is a pluribus unum, and essentially that means out of many, one, or all for one and one for all. And then he says the second motto is don't tread on me, the right to choose individual freedom and liberties. So basically, you have innately one of those things that gets kind of being more important for you. It doesn't mean you don't believe both of them. It just means one may suit your personality more or your values more. All for one and one for all, or don't tread on me, the right of the individual, the right of individual freedoms and liberties. So when we go through this time that we're going through right now, people will hold on to those things that they find most important, right? And that's where people are splitting off. Even that woman who I read you that post from earlier, her thing was, oh, my freedom, my freedom. And my post started off with, why are people not concerned about others and how they might be affecting other people? And he's totally right. He kind of hits the nail on the head with that. So interesting. And then the professor goes on to say that people, of course, who support mask wearing may cite the science of it, and the people who don't support it will probably question the validity of it. So he likened it to when you go to a football game and the referee makes a call, and maybe if it's against your team, you think it was unfair and it was wrong, and they're calling against your team, as opposed to the other team who sees the same play may not see that. They may see it was a good call, it was fair, it was a just judicial call, and that can very likely happen depending, I guess, on where your values are. Although, to me, as a purely objective person in the game, you might be able to say, oh, well, I can see that the ref called a bad call for my team, like in the sense that we got over on something. So that's one idea. And then another article from the Huffington Post, and this is dated July 1st of 2020. The article is titled "The Psychology Behind Why Some People Refuse to Wear Face Masks" by Brittany Wong. And something that really kind of stood out to me in this article, because she also asked the question, how did this become so politicized? Well, in the article, there's a discussion with someone, David Abrams, a professor of social and behavioral sciences out of NYU. And he was saying that basically there's a fight or flight psychological state that we as human beings come in. And it's particularly when we're feeling under threat. And this virus is a sense of threat, right? It's a threat. So when we feel threatened, we like to do things that helps us to control the situation. So in this case, the baseline being fear, I'll quote Abrams, when faced with certain uncertain situations, I'll quote Abrams here, when faced with uncertain situations over which we have no control, we tend to exercise it wherever we can, so we feel safe, he said. Some will feel safer exercising their control over not wearing a mask, while others feel safer exercising their control to wear one. I mean, it makes sense psychologically. I mean, I can see that. I mean, of course, I still don't agree with it, but it does give me a sense of not viewing the people who choose not to wear a mask in the light of, well, who's this bozo? Who's this idiot? Why are they You get it? I mean, I think it does help to humanize people's choices, right? When you think about something like, for example, there's even a law to wear a motorcycle helmet. And I have a friend whose husband passed away because he was not wearing a motorcycle helmet. Actually, now I think of it, I know at least 2 people who passed away because they weren't wearing a motorcycle helmet. Now, does wearing the motorcycle helmet stop you from dying if you get into an accident, point blank, period? And, when you're riding your motorcycle, of course not. But it definitely is something that's preventative and it can help. And the same thing applies with the mask. And we do have laws that say you have to wear helmets, and at least in some states you do. The state I live in, you do. So, I guess where I'm at here, this feels a little anticlimactic. But I guess what I'm trying to say, where I came down with this, is that I get it. You people who are choosing not to wear a mask, I get it. There is a sense of control issue there. There's a sense of, respecting your individual freedoms, and I get that part of it. I truly do. But I still come down on the side of, if someone is telling you that you need to give up a little bit of your personal freedoms for the good of the whole, for others, are you so selfish that you don't want to help protect the people who you are around? And if you don't want to do that, then stay home. Then don't go out in public spaces. No one is making you wear a mask at home or in your own public space or in your own business if you own your business. So I get the psychology. I understand the logic that sometimes some people may feel the validity of the science has been inconsistent. I get it. But y'all, I still come to the conclusion at the end of my peripheral research that people still need to put their damn mask on. And that people who don't wear their mask are behaving in a selfish way. Now, I know that for them, it may be a sense of, don't tread on me, my individual rights are being threatened, that I'm going to control what I can because this COVID thing's out of control, and I can control not having to put a mask on. I understand. But we have to recognize science. And science does make mistakes. Trust me, I'm a black man. I do not have a huge love of the medical profession. They've done some pretty shisty stuff against black people. So, we have a little bit of distrust with them because of their past mistreatment and deceit and experimentation on black people. And that's something I wish they would say more of when CNN and everybody, whoever, are talking about, oh, it's hard we can't get black people to come in and get this vaccine shot. Well, girl, y'all did a whole experiment giving us syphilis to see what it would do. Talking about it was something else. I forgot what they said it was, but they definitely told them they were giving them a disease. So forgive us if we don't trust you right away, and quit making it sound like people of color are just, distrusting without cause of the medical profession. So what do you think? What do you think? I would love to hear from you about your thoughts. Go to the Instagram page or even our Facebook page and comment on the anti-masker post. And let's get this discussion going, okay? Man, I feel like I should have come up with some kind of great answer to the issue of anti-maskering, but I haven't. I guess what we did here was just, expose both sides of thought. And, that's where we are. That's where we are. The millions of deaths worldwide, the hundreds of thousands of deaths in the U.S. Some people can't be shook. They can't be shook. And I know a part of it is because people are maybe not 100% sure how you get it. And as I said before, it's just another level of control in such an uncertain time where you have so little control. I get it, but people, I just feel like, where's the humanity? Where is the care for your fellow human being? Why do people have to be sheep because they're saying, you know what, I'm going to put some cloth over my face just in case I could give you this thing? I don't know. I understand the logic of the other side of the why I don't want to wear a mask. I don't believe in the science. It's my right to not wear a mask. I get it. But, you may not believe in the science of seatbelts. You may not believe in the vaccinations. You may be an anti-vaxxer. But you know what? Your kid's not going to go to certain colleges if they're not vaccinated for measles or mumps or whatever the heck people get vaccinated for. And I see now why we do that, because we cannot always trust people to do what's right. We just can't. And I could go down a list of things that were changed, or policies in the country, laws, civil rights amendments, civil rights period, that had to come about because the individual didn't give a damn about his fellow man and fellow woman. The individual didn't give a damn because the individual was like, well, if I help to protect the other person, then my rights may get jacked up, or I may get a little bit less at the table, or whatever the case may be. We just can't all the time depend on people to do the right thing. And that's why sometimes we need our government to step in and do the right thing. And maybe they should step in with this mask stuff the way Illinois has done. I don't know. Although, in some cases, our government has really, really jacking things up right now. Well, we'll talk about that in the next episode, but thank you for listening. Sorry if I didn't give you the magic answer. And we'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye. Hey, fam. I'm so thankful that you've chosen to listen to the Liberal Black podcast. If this is your first time, welcome to the family. And if you're a repeat offender, good to see you back, cousin. Head over to theliberalblack.com for more information. You can download this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. Also, check us out on Twitter and Instagram. I am Mr. Cleo, and this is the Liberal Black Podcast. Be encouraged.